Wait, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
What is up? What is up? What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is your man Jelani JB Bodie, and once again, this is the Wait a Minute Show, sports show where we talk about sports and some other things, throughout the year and all that good stuff. But today we are going to be talking about football on both sides, right? Pro and college level, and we'll get a little bit of basketball, sort of, before we do all that, though. Make sure, like, subscribe, turn on those notifications and everything. Share the show. Help your boy out, right? Rolling solo today, but don't worry, I got you. I get you through this. Mo will be back. We'll be in the mix like we always do. But in the meantime, let's get into talking about this. And one of the first things that I wanted to talk about was, let's get it up here, is what I consider one of the game of the weeks, right? I was really interested in seeing this, the Washington Commanders against the Baltimore Ravens. And you had two dynamic quarterbacks going head to head in this matchup and just trying to see what would transpire with this, because Washington was leading the NFC East. Obviously, Baltimore has overcome their 0-2 start, and they were really hitting their stride, and they were really making noise in the AFC. And true enough, I'm not surprised. Let me say this: I'm not surprised that Baltimore won. All right, so I'm not surprised that Baltimore won. What I really wanted to see and what I really wanted to focus on was Jaden Daniels really that dude? Was the Washington Commanders really that team that we really need to look at going forward? And I'm gonna say early on, right now, they've passed the test. They've passed the test, and the test that I'm talking about is that, look, again, I had Baltimore winning this game. Baltimore, is further along in their team success and just what they're doing than Washington, right? But Jaden Daniels has sped up that process. So we see they won the game 30-23. But Washington, you look at this. Washington, the games that they have won. They lost to Tampa, which is a really good team as well, winning record. But they beat the Giants, Cincinnati, Arizona, and Cleveland. All these teams have something going on with them, right? Giants, Cincinnati, Arizona, and Cleveland. They got some type of mess going on in their organization. So a win is a win. Don't get me wrong. In the NFL, a win is a win. But I think this was the biggest test to date for the Washington Commanders, for Jaden Daniels, to see what, that they could do. And I think Jaden Daniels passed the test, even in a losing fashion, right? Again, they weren't going to win the game. I didn't have them winning the game. Derrick Henry went crazy for over 100 yards rushing with two TDs. Lamar threw over 300 yards as well. But Jaden Daniels' number, he went 30 for 23. I mean, he went 269 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had 3 sacks, but no interceptions, right? That is success. That is something that you can build off of, right? So as far as like Jaden, and here's the other thing, going into that fourth quarter, they were down 27-13. So for them to get back into it as well, they put up 10 points in that fourth quarter to 3 to the Baltimore Ravens. So to ultimately lose by 7 points. There are no moral victories in the NFL, but what I will say is that we got another glimpse at what Jaden Daniels can be and what he will be. This is similar to what we were looking at last year with C.J. Stroud and the strides that he made through his rookie campaign. And I see the same thing going on with Jaden Daniels. So Washington has gotten lucky to fall in this situation to draft that kid. They put him with the right coordinator in Cliff Kingsbury, who at this point is doing a magnificent job, because all the credit that Jaden Daniels has been getting, you got to add Cliff Kingsbury, into that mix as well, and give him the credit where credit is due. So looking at this, Commander fans, I'm looking at you. I'm talking to you. I know you already started buying the jerseys. Buy 2 jerseys, right? 2 of them, because road jersey, home jersey, so you can wear them wherever it is that you go. But Jaden Daniels is the real deal, ladies and gentlemen. The real deal. Balling out there, man. So I enjoyed, that matchup. Again, it's a learning process for him, and he's only going to get better. Let's move into some of the week takeaways, right? Week 6 has been, some interesting stories throughout the NFL. They're always interesting, but there's two that stuck out to me, more than anything. And the first one is going to be America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, right? The Dallas Cowboys, look, they may not be anybody's team, right now. They took a shellac into the Detroit Lions, man, in any way, fashion, form that you want to organize or construct or present what a beatdown was. That is exactly what it was. And the Dallas Cowboys had no answer for what Detroit was doing. And this was payback. Honestly, what Detroit was doing, the plays that they were running, and how they were scoring, and this was Detroit sending the message to Dallas that you got off the hook last year. We weren't going to let you get off the hook this year. But looking at Dallas, and I'm going to talk about both sides of this, both teams. So looking at Dallas, I know people are going to talk about Dak Prescott and the $60 million and extension and CeeDee Lamb getting all this money and all this stuff. And I get that. I totally get that. When you get paid, there are expectations. It just comes with the territory. It is. It just does. But looking at this team, they are a one-dimensional team. You're one-dimensional team. And at this point, your consistent receiving option is CeeDee Lamb. So if you have no run game and nobody's going to respect your run game, and then all we need to do is make sure we just cover CD, just make sure he don't go off for 200 yards. This is going to be the recipe, and we've seen this. They've lost games, especially at home. Baltimore came through there and ran through them. New Orleans came through there and ran through them. I forgot the other team that just come into Dallas and beat them. And now you got the Detroit Lions who, have come. And so now the wins that they have, you got Cleveland that they beat and, a couple other teams. It's just like, okay, they beat New York. So you don't have those quality wins. You're going into a bye. You're coming out of that bye. You're probably going to run into a somewhat healthy or healthier San Francisco 49er team that you're going to play coming out of that bye. And if you're still one-dimensional, then Dallas has no shot. A lot of people don't have Dallas making the playoffs. At this point, I could see that. I can understand why people would have that. And then I got another question. Where is Dalvin Cook? You had this dude on your practice squad. And this is what I'm getting at as far as like one-dimensional. Because we know they talked about how they fumbled the bag on Derrick Henry, how he wanted to come down there. You had a guy in Kareem Hunt that was sitting on the couch. And this dude came back and he's playing football. Very, very, very important role with the Kansas City Chiefs and contributing. So why hasn't the Dallas Cowboys gotten Dalvin Cook off the practice squad and playing? Is there maybe there's an injury that I don't know about? There's something that's going on. But at this point, with Dowdle and with Zeke, it's not getting it. So you got to do something. You got to try something to get something else, in there. I know Dallas is hurt. They got, Micah Parsons out and all this stuff. But as stacked as this team are supposed to be, as talented as this team is supposed to be, and as talented that this coaching staff is supposed to be, you got to figure it out. And again, I was talking about the money that you get paid. There's certain, expectations that's put ahead of you. Also with the role that you play. So on the coaching staff, anytime you are associated with the Dallas Cowboys, there are going to be high expectations, and they haven't reached those. Let me jump over to the Detroit Lions really quick. And like I said, this was a payback game for the Detroit Lions. I think this is also a message, although unfortunately losing Aiden Hutchinson is going to be a major setback for them. And is the team just going to fall apart? Of course not. But what Aiden Hutchinson was doing, what he was on his way to, still leading the league in sacks after taking a bye, and leading the league in first in pressures and probably other statistical categories out there. You're gonna take it. You're gonna take a hit on here. But this game against Dallas, this was a message to them, but also a message to everybody else, right? To let everybody else know that, look, last year wasn't a fluke. This year we serious. We got an opportunity, right? And they do have an opportunity. And I still think they do have an opportunity. But at this point, you want to keep that chain running, or you want to keep that engine running And hopefully Ayton can get back at a point to where maybe he can come back this season. But the biggest thing is for Ayton to get healthy more than anything, whatever that is, right? I'm not one of them people that the fans that say, "Hey, get him back," and I don't care about anything else. Look, I want his health to be right first, and then so he can go back out there. In the meantime, though, this is what I need the Detroit Lions to do. There's an opportunity here, and you got to go all in. But this could be an all in also for the future. There's two guys, possibly three, but there's definitely two guys that the Detroit Lions need to be on the phone with right now to find out what we got to do to get these guys, right? And probably two guys that would love to get out of their situation that they're in right now. Myles Garrett is one, and it's in no particular order. Myles Garrett is one, seeing if you can get him out of Cleveland. And two, bring home Max Crosby, a Michigan guy, played football at Eastern Michigan, love Aiden Hutchinson, love the Detroit Lions, spoke about, he wouldn't mind lining up with him. Can you imagine if you get Aiden Hutchinson back and then you have one of those guys waiting for him, and that's your future as well? So Detroit got to get, that pressure, because it's something to be said about someone that totally destroys a offensive line or just disrupts an offensive line. So that's what Detroit needs to do. But other than this last game, man, them boys was flying all around, man. Brian Branch, two interceptions, one, fumble calls and all that stuff. So this is what they're going to need to do. They're going to have to get these turnovers, put it in the offensive hand, and we've seen what the offense can do. So that was, one thing. I'm going to move, and I'm going to still stay in the NFC East, but Nick Sirianni, I'm a little baffled. I'm a little confused. And I'm a little bit concerned, if you will, when it comes to what was that on the sideline, bro? I get it. You want to send a message, but this is not the forum. This is not the place. This is definitely not the city that you want to be doing that in Philadelphia. So if you have not, seen this, is that at the end of the Cleveland Eagles game, or the Browns Eagles game, Nick Sirianni was seen, what people call chirping at the fans, right? And so when asked about it, he went into, kind of a bland, answer and all this stuff. You'll never win if you go at the fans. Even you got people that's wrong, that's different. But in this particular case, you're not going to win this battle by doing this, by chirping back. And you're definitely not going to win this battle with Philadelphia fans. If you've learned, if you haven't learned anything, Philly fans do not care. The only thing they care about is winning, and are you doing what you're supposed to do to win? If you're doing that, that's different. If you're not, and then you're out there chirping, you're writing a check that that you're not going to be able to cash. Because you barely won this game against Cleveland. This is not a win against San Francisco, a team who bum rushed you last year. This is not a win against maybe the Detroit Lions, a top team. This is not a win against Kansas City, a team that you lost in the Super Bowl to. This is not. So you shouldn't be doing this. And Sirianni was talking about, a couple of the guys kind of want him, kind of want that animation, out of him. Okay, who? That's what I want to know. Who? Because it's a bunch of guys on there, but if is it the right guy or is it the wrong guy wanting you to say it? And look, let's just be honest. There's some guys on there. It's just like you don't want to be following their lead, right? Now, if you telling me Jalen Hurts is like, yeah, Nick, talk your ish, Nick, talk it. I still don't like it, but this is one of your leaders where it's coming from. So it's like everybody's going to jump on board. But don't tell me it's a couple guys on the team and we ain't got no names or whatever. There could be anybody. And then once when you find out who it is, everybody might be like, oh, not this guy. No. So that's not an excuse. It's not an excuse to go, at the fans like that, especially just barely winning a game, and you still haven't proved anything yet. You haven't did anything to say we're back. If anything, you made your seat hotter than what it already is. So now you got teams and the media that's really going to be focused on what you do over the next few weeks. So I think he made his seat hotter more than what it needed to be. Just keep your head down, man, and just saying we working, we grinding, trying to get this thing out and get this thing right. And then once you get back to winning, everybody's gonna forget about that. But all that chirping and then it doesn't work. Don't have a bad loss. Do not have a bad loss. And you're gonna have a problem, on it. Let's move into college football, right? So it was a lot of interesting, games. Oregon versus Ohio State. That was a really good game. Florida and Tennessee going into overtime. You had Ole Miss and LSU as well. Some really, really interesting games. Even Vanderbilt got another win against the SEC team. They beat Kentucky as well. And some teams, they just took care of business like they were supposed to. Texas took care of business in the against Oklahoma. You had Penn State came back actually, to beat USC. They were in a little bit of trouble. But I mention all of that because you have some of these other teams that we've seen over the season, even Alabama that we were talking about on a previous episode, is that they are, some of these games that they're losing, right? Vandy comes in, they beat, and I mean, they really played well. Notre Dame lost a game earlier in the season to NIU, Northern Illinois University. So the question begs, you see it down there at the bottom, is that has the transfer portal, is that creating more parity when it comes to the college football scene? And I think it has. I think it is creating it, and it's gaining a little bit of steam, if you will. Because one of the things, well, it's two things. One is that you can't just stock up on all these talented college football players like there was in the past. If you remember, like the pipeline that the University of Miami had, where they just had guy after guy, and it was just like you had to wait your turn. You had to wait 2 years, to get your opportunity. That's not the case, this year. The transfer portal, obviously being able to play immediately versus having to wait, a year. That helps out tremendously because now you got kids that's, coming from very good programs. They may go to another, Power 5 program. They may go to a mid-major or something, or a lower level Power 5, team. But you got more talent that is ending up on these rosters somewhere else, right? And at that increase the competition level, right? It still may not be apples to apples or oranges to oranges that that people want to compare it to, but you have better competition, which I love. Some people, they don't love it. I like the parity because here's the thing. Now it's just like, I can't go in here and solely just, sell you on my school and we take you out and you have a great time. And it's like, look at the campus and this could be you. And look, you just hang out here and just, serve your time and all that stuff. That's not happening no more, especially with the combination of NIL deals, right? So now we really find out, can you really get the talent? How these college coaches and everything, now you really got to go get the talent, but then also you got to give these kids a reason to stay, right? And it's a little bit more even playing field, which falls in line with the 12-team playoff, because the 12-team playoff wouldn't have had any success years ago if we still had the format where, kids couldn't go to other schools and everything. If you got all these kids at one school and they're waiting in line and all this stuff, the talent level, the pool of talent isn't going to be spread out. So if they went to the 12-team playoff, you're going to have the same thing. You're going to have teams just blowing out other teams. But now that's not the case. You really got to bring your lunch pail every single week when it comes to the college football rank. And I know people talked about, well, it was something about going undefeated. If you lost one game, like every game matter. Every game still does matter, in my opinion. Every game still does matter. But it also allows you, hey, if you have a setback, to get back in it. And I talked about Alabama last year, that, hey, Alabama lost a game or whatever. Now it was four teams, but they were able to get back in it. Can you imagine? Somebody, maybe a team go through some injuries, maybe the team go through some stuff, and then they finally get things right, and they become what we were expecting them to be. Yeah, you want to see that, but then also you have those teams those Cinderella teams, if you will, but you have those really talented teams that comes from maybe a little bit smaller school, as well. I want to see that. If you're saying you're the best, hey, you'll be able to go ahead and take care of business. But yes, I do believe the transfer portal is providing more parity in college football. So it's not one-sided, it's not lopsided. Still, to a certain degree, it's still lopsided, but it's less lopsided. And I'm liking where they're going with it. All right. So let's go to our next to last, but let's go to our last topic. And that's a little bit, I told you we were gonna talk a little bit of NBA, but it's a little bit different. A little bit different type of NBA, but Sam Mitchell, right? So this thing has been circulating around about Sam Mitchell on NBA TV with his co-host, and look, his co-host said some things about pay, right? That maybe Sam should be working pro bono for for the show and everything. And then Sam said, "I got time today," right? And he went on this thing about his co-host about how much money. He didn't say exactly how much money he's making, but he alluded to the money that he's making has afforded him to do all these other things and everything. And so everybody looked at it. I saw it, and I'm like, dang, Sam really went in. Now there was a follow-up video where his counterpart went to his house and they basically made it seem that hey, this is what we do. We just get on each other, but we ain't no beef. We ain't all this and that and the third. Okay, it may not be, but at the end of the day, which I don't think it's that he hates Sam or Sam hates him or anything like that. So yeah, I don't think it's no beef, but I do believe at times, because I know I have friends like this, and then I also have worked with people like this. Sometimes you just have somebody, they keep talking and they say something, and it's just like, you know what? Today's the day. Today's the day. We still cool after this, but I'm finna roast you. I'm finna set you aflame, sir. And I just think that's what Sam did. It was just like, today's the day. He's talked about it. You young folks and all this stuff, I got to teach you something, right? And if I try and tell you, maybe you don't realize it off air. Maybe you don't realize it during the commercial break, but you're going to realize it when that red light is on and it's live, right? And maybe that's the way to get through, to him. And maybe it's just like, hey, some things, bro, just don't need to be said. And so that's what Sam, did. So they may not have a problem, but did Sam go too far? For the network, yes, probably. But look, it has everybody talking, and I'm sure people probably tune back in, for the follow up, and everything. But as long as they good, I'm good as well. But Sam went crazy. That Sam went Sam. If you will. So yeah, Sam Mitchell, he don't play no games with people at all. So I got one more thing that I want to do, and normally, I will put this out because it's a joke. Let me just say that the Big L Award, like the Big Loser Award, and all that stuff that we hand out, it's all a joke. So I don't want anybody taking it seriously, because again, I've given myself the Big L Award multiple times. So I'm mentioning this because it's not a Big L Award, but it's just like, bro, it's a bad look award, right? And I talked about Oregon and Ohio State, playing in a memorable game and everything, but also that what popped up memorable in it is wide receiver Trayshawn Holden for the Oregon Ducks. He got kicked out, I think, in the first quarter, definitely the first half, for spitting into someone else's face, right? Into an Ohio State defender. Now, first thing I'm going to say, let me give kudos to the young man at Ohio State for being real reserved. I've seen other guys. I've seen JJ Stokes. I remember he was playing for San Francisco and he got spit in the face. And I forget the linebacker right now in my head because I know he played for Denver and he played for the Raiders and he played for, I think he actually played for San Francisco as well. But having that reserve, so I want to give him credit for that because a lot of people, and look, I can't even fault them for that. They would have reacted totally different. Two people probably would have been out of that game for that. And the kid, I think, understood. Look, my team needs me more. I'm gonna make this sacrifice. I'm not gonna get out of character. I'm not gonna do anything. But I don't think anybody would have faulted him if he had did otherwise, right? But kudos to that kid for having that reserve and everything. Now for Trayshawn, on this, it hit him once when he got to the tunnel, and the part that I hate, and maybe I'm reading this wrong, but it's just like it felt like he knew he messed up, and it was just like I can't let everybody see it. But once when I get in the tunnel, all that emotion and everything is gonna come out, and we saw that. We saw that come out. There is no reason, not in a game of football anyway. Let me just say that. In a game of football, I really can't find a reason under normal circumstances. Obviously there could be a total outlier, out there situation, but I'm expecting this is a normal situation and everything. And this kid emotions got the best of him and he spit in this kid's face. There is no place for that. There is no reason. There is nothing that you can really say to say, you know what, I understand. No, for that. Um, I know some people have said, kick him off the team and and all this stuff. I don't know this kid's character. I don't know this kid's background. I don't know this kid's history. So if you're telling me maybe there's a history of some stuff like this, okay, you might have a situation. But if this is his first time, doing it, I can't say like, oh, just kick him off the team. But what I will say is that we don't do that, right? There is he has to understand, which I'm sure someone has gotten in his ear about this, but he has to understand that there is no place. That is the ultimate disrespect to somebody. You can trash talk someone, y'all can tussle it out, push each other. In football, throwing hands. I don't suggest it because you're gonna break your hand on somebody's helmet and all this stuff, but all of that, people, it's the game of football. But you cross the line when you spit, in somebody's face, and it's just sad to see something like that. And anybody, we expect better. We expect better, and to do better and be better. And for this kid, that's what I expect, to be better going forward. Because I'm going to tell you right now, this is not going to go away. People are going to mention this. People are going to bring it up later on, and it's something that you're going to have to, to get through. But I'm hoping what he did. I hope he reached out to that DB at Ohio State. I hope he apologized to him. That's the first thing, to do. After that, hey, if the kid wants to accept your apology, he does. If he doesn't, he doesn't. But the first thing is to apologize to him. And obviously, you want to apologize to your everybody else that you're involved with, team, family, and and all that. And then learn from this, grow from this, get better, from this. Whatever that Oregon decides to do, I'm pretty sure Dan Lanning and them is going to make the right decision, on it. But please, there's no reason to be spitting in people's face, man. Let's stop that. All right, so that's it. That's another show in the books, man. Make sure, again, like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, man. Holla at your boy. And we will be back next week with some more content. Week 7, all that in the NFL and some other stuff as well. And then I'll be trying to piss Mo off with something that I say, like I always do. So until next time, man, for your man, Jelani JB Bodie, man, I'm going to tell y'all peace, but two things as always. Stay positive and push forward. I'll holler at y'all later.